conversation because it's part of life now. Whatever news it is, it's part of your life, and it's going to help you continue to grow. Once you get that step down, our third step is to reframe your thoughts. After you accept the situation by embracing those emotions and dulling the pain by continuing to either talk about it or read about it or express it, it's time to reframe the way you think about bad news. So bring the situation into a new light. For me, after going through all, and still continue to go through these things, I continue to tell myself that you can only control what you can control, as I said before. In hindsight, it's a big reason as to why I started this podcast. I needed a way of talking about or taking the bad news and putting it into a new perspective, a new light. I needed to start having that cup half full instead of half empty view on life. Like I said, you can't always control your emotions or the situations you'll come across, but what you can control is how you deal with them. So when you lose someone close to you and you attend their funeral or just express your feelings to others around you, you always hear that saying, they're in a better place, or they're not suffering anymore, they're no longer suffering. Believe it or not, these are the exact things we tell each other as well as ourselves to give us a type of closure, some different perspective on the bad news. It doesn't always work, but if you really think about it, those statements are really true. Life is hard. We each suffer in our own ways every day. It may not always be an extreme case like dying, but emotionally we deal with rage, sadness, depression, several other emotions. Like I said, life is hard. So when someone says that they're no longer suffering, that they're not wrong. After I left the military, I was working a job that paid about $14 an hour. Living in San Diego, you could barely afford. You could barely live with $14 an hour. But I was just happy to have the income, regardless. I worked there from June till November, and November when the holidays were coming up, and work started to slow down, and I got laid off. So initially, I was like, "What the hell? Here we go again. What am I gonna do now?" But honestly, I thought of it as an opportunity to take my skills elsewhere and find a job that paid more, because I wasn't, $14 an hour ain't making nothing. And luckily, I was fortunate enough to end up working on a military base, making significantly more money. And I understand not everyone's situation is the same, but if you approach life with that attitude, you'll be on a much better track to deal with it rather than be constantly depressed. Once again, from the article, research by the University of Notre Dame in Indiana uncovered that hitting rock bottom after losing a job could actually be beneficial and enable people to start a new chapter, create new positive work identity, and free them from negative emotion. In addition to cognitively reframing a negative situation, research from the Beckman Institute at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign reported that it could be helpful to focus on contextual elements of a bad memory rather than emotional experience. Florin Dolkos from the Cognitive Neuroscience Group at the University of Illinois explained that dwelling on how hurt, sad, or embarrassed you felt during an adverse event can result in you feeling worse. Now, I like facts. That's why I'm sharing all of these research facts and discoveries with you guys, because sometimes people need hard factual evidence to agree with it, to accept that, that step is backed by science, so it makes it more valid, I guess. That's honestly one of the reasons why I'm sharing these with you. But once again, another saying I'm sure you've heard is, when you hit rock bottom, there ain't nothing left to do but go up. It's another true statement. It's about growth and what you plan to do and how you plan to bounce back from a bad situation. It's what inspires people. We all love a comeback story about a person hitting rock bottom and having all the odds stacked against them to then rise and become successful in spite of all those terrible things that happened to them. Of course, this isn't always reality, and we don't live in a movie, but having that attitude will absolutely put you in a better position. No matter how much you see, quote, successful people, unquote, on social media, always remember that those things don't happen overnight, no matter how much they try to make it look that way. Another saying is overnight success takes about 10 years. So if you lost a job, look at it as the start of a new, and maybe go into a field that you've been interested in. If there's one piece of advice I'd like you to take, it's that you're never too old to try something new, and you should definitely learn from your mistakes and keep in mind how those bad events made you feel, because there is no teacher better than pain. And I know, at least for me, I don't want to feel those emotions that I felt back then. So I always remind myself of how terrible a feeling it was to be in that position. I try my hardest not to go back. And I also try my hardest not to dwell on it. Which leads me to our fourth step. Learn to overcome adversity. In the Marine Corps, we pride ourselves on adapting and overcoming super stressful situations. It may also be why I push so hard to get to where I am now, but losing a job, making terrible choices that land you somewhere that you shouldn't be, and all of the life's random hurdles that get thrown at you are things 99% of us are dealing with or are going to have to deal with eventually. It's easy to give up and take the easy way out. It's easy to be lazy and fail and have no motivation to do anything else. I mean, I get it. I still have my moments where I get in a rut, or when I don't want to work out and I just want to sit on the couch and stuff my face with junk food. That stuff is easy. That's easy to do. You can do that every day. The problem with easy is we don't grow. I know I've been quoting a bunch of sayings throughout this episode, but here's another one. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to fail to grow. You got to learn from your mistakes. These are all things you've heard before, and I'd like to reiterate them because they're very important. I know when I was in the military, I got talked down to a lot by my superiors just because people are assholes and that's how they want to talk to people. And honestly, it would make me feel terrible, but instead of dwelling on it or showing that it bothered me, I would do everything in my power to prove that person wrong. Success and showing people up, in my opinion, is like the best revenge that you'll ever get. But, you will fail, but you have to consistently get up and persist, because when you do finally succeed, you'll feel so much better knowing that you went through all that. You went through the ringer, you continued to push. And I know it may sound cheesy, but I cannot stress this enough. Never give up. There was, back to the article, there was a study that focused on students who had failed academically and would find access to the job market restricted with their lack of qualifications. The study showed that by helping these students to bounce back from adversity by teaching them self-regulation skills, including goal setting and how to adjust their path after a mishap, they were better equipped to do well in life and positively deal with any adverse situations they encounter. Other research has also shown that blogging about social distress can help people deal with adversity. So, you hear people kind of venting online and social media. You don't hear it, you read it in posts and tweets, on IG pictures and captions. All that stuff is part of healing, part of dealing with adversity. People like to relate to each other, so this is another reason why I'm sharing all these stories with you and all my life experiences. I want you guys to relate. Our fifth step is to be kind to yourself. I know for me, during those most stressful times, I would just continue to dwell on my situation. I would talk down to myself almost every day. I started to hate myself for making bad decisions that put me in the terrible situations I was in. I was angry that I wasn't smart enough because overall I kind of knew better. I was raised to be better. To this day, I sometimes worry that I'll make a stupid decision that'll send me back after all the hard work that I did to get myself here where I am now. And I'm sure we've all heard of self-affirmations, make things reality, speak it into existence, and what we need. Talking down to yourself after a while takes a toll, subconsciously, and even consciously sometimes. Your confidence is shot. You just get back in that same self-loathing feeling because you didn't give yourself the props that you deserve. I consider myself my biggest critic. And even when my wife tells me that I don't give myself enough credit for accomplishing the things that I have so far, when you face bad news, no matter what kind it is, it's so important that you don't hate yourself for it. Taking care of yourself physically and mentally is number one. it's easy to fall into that, lazy, pitiful self, and you're mad at the world, yourself, or a situation. It becomes a chain reaction, and it gets worse and worse. When I say be kind to yourself, I don't only mean give yourself props for, or congratulate yourself on your accomplishments. I mean, be good to yourself. Eat good food, healthy foods, and just something positive into your psyche, like this podcast, all about positivity, for example. Go book a spa day or pamper yourself with some R&R, take care of yourself, treat yourself right, physically and emotionally. Back to the article. Research has found that even if you don't consider yourself to be a mindful person, meditation can help tame negative emotion. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Nursing illustrated that receiving a hand and foot massage for 8 weeks after the death of a loved one provided some consolation and was reported to be a worthy early grieving process support option for bereaved family members. I got to book a lot of my family some spa days. When receiving bad news, as hard as it might be, it's important to remain calm, stay focused on the present moment, and breathe. All very good decisions and advice, in my opinion. This last step is the 6th step. It's not listed on the medical news today. It's my personal step, from my experiences. And that step is to take a break. We live in a society that's all about getting after it. Go get that bag, go get that money, be active. If you got time to watch TV, you got time to make something of yourself, or you got time to make money, or, time is money after all. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all these things. But there's one thing I learned. It's that we need mental health days. We need a breathe. We need a breath of fresh air. Some of us need to vegetate on the couch and do absolutely nothing. We need time to not worry about what we're going to cook tomorrow, what's for dinner. What chores need to be done around the house. What else? What your job is going to need from you. Take a break. Take a mental wellness day. At times I found myself having so much to do and none of it prioritized or organized. And sometimes it would get so overwhelming that I'd have to just stop. I wouldn't get anything done. And my workload would just pile up because I wouldn't take a break. I wouldn't refocus. When you take a day or two to just do nothing and recharge your batteries, you come back with a different perspective. Well refreshed, you're well rested, you're ready to tackle whatever tasks need to be taken care of. You gotta let all your problems take a back seat to your life every day, to your life every now and then, not every day, but those everyday tasks. This is not to say, ignore them completely, but take a bit of time, focus on nothing. When you come back, those problems and those things they need to get done. They're always going to be there, For those who are always busy and think to yourself, I don't have time to take a break. I highly encourage you to force yourself to take a break. You need it. Everybody needs it. Like I said, problems aren't going anywhere. They're going to be there. Whether you take a break today, tomorrow, whatever, something's always going to have to get done. Do something. Take a break. It'll be there when you get back. I don't have any studies to quote for this specific step since it's my life experiences that I'm sharing. But for me, this step was hard. It was hard to understand and get down packed. My wife is really the one who taught me about this step. I share my life experiences with you again in hopes that some of you can understand why I do what I do and maybe relate to some of the things I've done. Not all my experiences are relatable, but all the troubles that we covered can be compared to in at least 99% of our lives, I would think. Take these steps and use them to see as you see fit. They're steps that I've used and I continue to use every day. I'm not a life coach, nor do I have everything under control. Not that I claim to. I don't claim to have all the answers, and nor do I want you to think I do. I fail every day. I continue to learn. And as long as you continue to move, even if it's accomplishing one small goal a day, celebrate those milestones. Don't beat yourself up. Don't compare yourself to somebody who has had great breaks and easier opportunities than you have. Life ain't fair. That's just how it is. Everyone